Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. Today is a very special day on Focus Today as we are recognizing what's happening in the state of Oregon as it relates to zero restrictions on abortions. In fact, in the state of Oregon, your tax dollars are paying for 11 abortions a day, and it has to stop. And what we're doing is asking you to go out to the Mellelo's Coffee House behind Costco, as our crew is out there all day long, and asking you to sign the petition to get on the November ballot a measure to stop our tax dollars in the state of Oregon for paying for 11 abortions. So this is a very special edition of Focus Today, and I am delighted and honored beyond measure to have with us today Dr. Alveda King. Currently serves as Pastoral Associate and Director of African American Outreach for Priests for Life and Gospel of Life Ministries. She's also the voice of Silent No More Awareness Campaign, sharing her testimony of abortion. She's a loving mother of 6 and a very loving mother of 6 grandchildren. Nothing like grandchildren. Dr. King, nice to have you. What a blessing.
Wonderful, Perry. You know, there are 9 grandchildren and 6 living children. And it is such a wonderful experience to serve Christ and to be a mother and a grandmother. Those are the things, those are my favorite things on the earth.
Well, that's great. Welcome. Listen, your own story is fascinating. Tell us your story about your birth.
Well, it is actually, many people know that I'm the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. My parents, his brother, Reverend Alfred Daniel Williams King, A.D. King, and my mother, Naomi King. Mm-hmm. Uncle M.L. was, of course, right out in the forefront. Everybody knew about him, and my father helped him. My parents conceived me in 1950, and it was right before they were married. They were engaged, but mother wanted to finish college first, and, of course, daddy, that was their plan. I was conceived. My mom's mother decided to let my mother go on a date. Before that, mother had only been courting. That's kind of supervised outings with groups of people and that kind of thing. So when she and dad were alone, I was actually conceived. And that's why we say dating should be reserved for married people. You know, one man, one woman married. And dating means sexual intimacy along with all of the other fun that you can have getting to know and love someone. So anyway, I was conceived. Mother actually wanted to get a DNC, not a back alley abortion, no coat hangers. Abortion was illegal, but the Birth Control League then, which would become Planned Parenthood, was advertising a specific procedure for mysterious female ailments, which really aborted me. But they, my mother's mother, they went to their pastor, Reverend Martin Luther King Sr., and Daddy King says, no, you can't abort that baby. I saw her in a dream 3 years ago. She has bright skin and bright red hair, and she's going to bless many people. But Mama Bessie, my big Mama Bessie, listened to their pastor. My mother was a very obedient young woman, and she went along with that. She and my dad were married before I was born, and they had 5 children. Now, that was kind of a family secret, all of that, except Granddaddy often talked about having seen me in a dream. I ended up getting swept away in the free love movement, as it were. The baby boomers turned into Generation X, and everything was free love, do what you want to do in the 60s going into the 70s. And, of course, that was a serious challenge there. And I ended up having divorce, abortion, secret abortion, like that. My grandfather kept me from aborting a baby in the mid-70s, and I married the father of that child. And we had 5 children together. I had 1 from my first marriage, then I had 2 abortions and a miscarriage, and then I married the father of my next 5 children. And that's how today, as a repentant Christian woman who knows that I made a lot of mistakes in the 70s, and I repented and came back to God, and now I tell this testimony with great joy, how God forgave me, healed me, allowed me to be a mother and a grandmother, for which I'm very, very grateful. My grandfather convinced me to keep that child in the 70s. And because by then I had bought into Planned Parenthood's agenda, unfortunately. I was rescued And today, this is how you hear me as a pro-life voice working for Priests for Life, Director of African American Outreach.
Fascinating. Dr. King, when did you in your youth realize abortion was wrong?
Well, I was in my 20s by then, and I was going to abort another child. And my grandfather and the father of the baby, two African-American men, said, no, you can't abort that child. Daddy King said, that's not a lump of flesh, that's my great-grandchild. The baby's daddy, a medical student, said that, no, you can't abort that baby. That's 46 chromosomes, 23 from me and 23 from you, and I want mine back alive. Mm-hmm. So as the men spoke, then my uncle's message, even though he was deceased by then, and my father, they had been killed at the end of the civil rights movement. But I said, oh my God. And Uncle ML's words, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And I realized that was a human being in the womb. And by then we had the early sonogram. And I saw the sonogram of that baby, who is now an adult. He's married. He's an attorney. And he was younger in the sonogram than the two who had been aborted and the one who had been miscarried. So I realized that Planned Parenthood and the abortion lobby and the radical feminist movement had lied to me, saying that I had only gotten rid of blobs of tissue and it wouldn't hurt worse than pulling a tooth. None of that was true. My body was hurt during those experiences, my soul, my spirit, and it took some recovery. My final recovery step was to attend Rachel's Vineyard here in the 21st century, the healing ministry out of Priests for Life, and then I became a spokeswoman for the Silent No More Awareness campaign. So I realized all the way back in the 1970s, when I conceived my son, that was the beginning of my pro-life journey, and I'm very grateful for it. But really now, I came up in a pro-life family. My uncle, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., of course, was pro-life by Daddy, A.D. King, my grandfather, my grandmother. My mother became pro-life by my grandfather's guidance. Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who accepted the Margaret Sanger Maggie Award instead of her husband in the 1960s, when it was offered to her husband in 1966, like Mrs. Barbara Bush and Mrs. Laura Bush, who are both pro-choice and agree that a woman should be able to abort her child if she decides to. Coretta King kind of followed in that pattern, but her husband actually was pro-life, and the only type of birth control that he supported at that time, natural family planning, they called it the rhythm method, and during his lifetime, all of these chemical procedures and surgical abortions, none of that existed. Abortion was illegal when he was killed. So for those who want to suggest Planned Parenthood is not telling the truth, Martin Luther King Jr. did not support an agenda of hurting women and killing babies.
Absolutely fascinating. You know, your life now, you are on both sides of Roe versus Wade, weren't you?
I've been on both sides, and I'm so glad to be on the side now for life. And we are to choose life. Life is sacred. I have been well informed, and part of my mission at Priests for Life as Director of African American Outreach, and I'm a pastoral associate with Gospel of Life. We inform, we educate, we activate communities, and make communities aware of the truth about abortion. Abortion really does kill babies. Abortion harms women. These carcinogenic products that they want to call birth control make women very sick, making women subject to heart attack, stroke, blood clotting problems, which I had between the abortions and the carcinogenic procedures that I took, trying to go against the natural procreative plan with fertility blockers. All of that is very, very harmful to women. Men are also harmed by these processes, and we talked about our campaign with Kevin Berg.
Wow. Let me ask you this before I run out of time. Tell us about God's healing of your soul and your heart on after those experiences.
I have a very intimate testimony that I don't often share, but I'm happy to share. When I left Rachel's Vineyard, and that was a wonderful weekend of learning that God had forgiven me, that I will see my children again in heaven, and it was just ministered so biblically. to me. And it was a wonderful and beautiful experience. And as I went back home, I left the airplane and I was going through the terminal to go back to my car. And I was riding down an escalator. And I felt the most wonderful, warm, loving presence. It was almost like little butterflies were landing on my shoulder and my face and my hair. And it was almost like little voices were saying, "It's okay, Mommy." Because not only did I have the 2 abortions and the miscarriage, but I used something called the IUD, which allows the woman to conceive, and then she actually loses that baby. So it's like spontaneous miscarriages, several. And so I felt as though I was being reunited with those little babies. I knew at Rachel's Vineyard, we had the prayer for healing. We had an opportunity to name our babies, and my children, who I know were aborted, Philip, Jessica, and Raphael, miscarried. And so knowing that, you can even get the little tiny baby shoes and put little things in a box. So the closure to that was a very healing process, and the forgiveness of God. And I've repented. I know God has forgiven me, and I believe I'll see those children in heaven. And so that's nothing, my friends, that you cannot be healed from, whether you're a woman or a man, a grandparent, the community. We have to admit that abortion is wrong, and all these carcinogenic birth control things that the HHS mandate is trying to shove down our throats. Priests for Life is involved in a lawsuit to stop that. So there is hope, there is healing. I have received that, and as I say, I enjoy my living children and my grandchildren very, very much.
Well, Dr. King, you're an inspiration. Where can people get more information about your ministry?
Please go to www.africanamerican.outreach.com. AfricanAmericanOutreach.com, and I have a wonderful blog there. At least I think it's wonderful. I hope you do. And a lot of information for you, though. Videos, YouTubes, articles. Yeah, a lot of information.
You're a delight. Thank you for your time, and let's do it again, okay?
I look forward. Thank you for the opportunity.
Many blessings to you. All right, Dr. Alveda King with us today. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Hi, we're back. This is a very special day here at Focus Today and at the Dove. We are encouraging you, if you haven't already done so, to make an effort to go to the beautiful Mellelo coffee house behind Costco and sign the petition to stop your tax dollars for paying for 11 abortions a day in the state of Oregon. It's just hard to believe that that is happening. Of all 50 states in the United States, Oregon is at the bottom. We have 0 restrictions. Abortion can be performed up through the 9th month in this state, and it has to stop. Over half the abortions performed in the state of Oregon are paid for by our tax dollars. It's $1.75 million in public money is spent on about 4,000 abortions a year in the state of Oregon. Now, here's where we are on this petition drive. Totally, we need about 116,284 signatures to qualify for the ballot in November. I think we're pushing around 70,000 right now. So between now and the end of June, we have to get these signatures in. Now, this is statewide, not just here, but statewide. And so today is a special day. If you go out to Mellelo Coffee House behind Costco, Bryan Platt and his crew and his volunteers from Jackson County Right to Life there with the petitions. You can also pick up a petition there and take it to your church if your pastor will allow you to have it in the church, and I trust that will happen as well. If you're outside the immediate area and you can't make it to Mellelo's today, you can go to online at Oregon2014.org and you can sign the petition there as well. Now, if you've already have signed the petition, still come to Mellelo's because they have a certificate for $1 off on coffee. Your name will go in the hat for some great giveaways that we'll have on the air tomorrow, of which is a coffee a day for a month. Also, while you're out there, we will give you a copy of our devotional, The Word for You Today. And we have a bunch of books that we've taken out that we use for interviews and things, and we're just giving those away. First come, first served. But today's a very, very special day. And with me right now, we're Skyping in Bryan Platt from Mellelo's there behind Costco in Medford. Bryan, very special day, and hopefully you're getting some folks coming by.
Perry, it is, and they're responding to the time that we've been on the air here. It's a great day. I mean, it's a glorious day to come out. The sun is shining, and people are responding. They're coming out. We're giving away a lot of the sheets, which I think is our best strategy to make this happen. But people are signing up, and we're just praising the Lord.
All right. Now, where are you in the actual statewide? You're a little over 70,000?
Right. So I've got some statistics here on what we're doing. Statewide, we're 68,000, something like that. In the Dove viewing area, the numbers come out this way. In Jackson County, we're at 53% of the goal. Josephine's up to 64%. Klamath's at 62%. Coos is at 31%. Curry's at 63%. Douglas is at 42%, and Deschutes is at 37%. So obviously there's a way to go, but again, by having events like this today, Perry, giving out these sheets, it's a multiplier effect, and we're really trying to establish I guess you could say almost a team effort here, where it's not just a few of us sitting at a table asking for signatures, but these sheets are going out into the community. Even putting 2 or 3 more signatures on a sheet outside of our venue is a multiplier effect that'll get it done for us. We have 31 days, Perry, 31 days.
All right. Now, the website, Oregon2014.org.
That's right. And on that website is basically a primer for what this is all about. It gives all the information about the need for this petition to be signed and to get it on the ballot in November. It gives all the data. And most importantly, if you're unable to get here or somehow haven't been able to get a signature on a sheet, you can actually print off a single signer sheet right off of that website and sign it and then mail it in to the chief petitioners to get it done that way.
The other part of this, people need to understand, this doesn't stop abortions 100% in the state of Oregon.
No, that's right. But that's right, Perry.
Yeah.
What it does, you know, to steal a phrase from the other side, it's about choice. You and I don't have a choice in the matter right now. Our tax money that we pay to the state of Oregon and through the income tax is going into the Oregon Health Plan, and through the Oregon Health Plan, about 4,000 or so babies are being killed every year, and that's using our tax money. And I think the thing that's the most important to emphasize is these are not abortions necessarily to save the life of a mother. These are abortions that are elective. These are abortions for convenience. This has nothing to do with the life or the health necessarily of the mother. So we're paying for this, Perry. We don't have a choice in this. This petition being put on the ballot in November seeks to give us the opportunity to opt out of having our money being used to kill these babies.
All right. Now, the other thing is, Bryan, and I'm going to play a little video here in a few moments when we're done from Randy Alcorn talking to pastors about the legality, but more important, the spiritual responsibility of talking about this in the church and allowing it in the church. Do you want to add to that?
Well, there's no secret, Perry, that it's been one of the more frustrating aspects of this entire effort, and that is our inability to get into all the churches. For myself, it's as clear of a scriptural issue as there can be. I frankly don't understand why a church would be resistant to allowing this. Like you say, we've covered the legal issue. There are none. This is completely acceptable with respect to a church's 501c3 status. I have asked a couple of the pastors if their boards and their church leadership makes a decision not to allow the petition to be signed in the church, then I'd like to know where the scriptural basis for that decision is. I respect their authority. They're accountable to the Lord, and I completely accept that, but it doesn't take away that frustration. We have enough signatures literally sitting in the pews of the churches in the state of Oregon to get this thing done.
Wow. All right. Now, there are some incentives today. And again, you don't have to sign the petition to get any of these things. Just show up out there. And just by being there, whether you sign the petition or not, they're going to give you a certificate for $1 off or some coffee. We have the Word for You Today devotionals out there. We just want to give you one of those if you've never had one. We took a bunch of books out there, kind of like a book fair. And you know what? They're all free. First come, first serve. You can have them. And I guess there's some giveaways too. Sal's going to give away a coffee a day for a month.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say to you and your team, thank you, Bryan. And also, I want to say, maybe you can add to this. I want to say thank you to Sal Mellelo for allowing us to do that today.
You know, he's a brave man. I'm in business. I understand the implications that this can have for a business, and he's a blessing. It's been great to get to know him. He's a courageous man, and you know what? He's leaning on the Lord. He just feels led by the Lord to do this. So, yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Sal.
Well, while you and I are talking, I've watched about 4 people walk up behind you there and sign the petition, so it's a good thing. Thank you, Bryan.
It's a good thing. You bet. Thank you, Perry.
All right, we'll be back to Bryan in just a few moments. Again, this is going on all day at the beautiful Mellelo Coffee House behind Costco. Now, you don't have to buy anything to participate in this. You don't have to buy anything to get a certificate or pick up those books. All that's just free. It's our way of saying thank you for coming on by. But we are asking you to sign the petition if you haven't done so. And maybe you could talk to Bryan or Robin or somebody else if you'd like to pick up a petition and take it to your family members or your friends or even into your church. Right now, I want to share with you a little video clip from Randy Alcorn, who's one of the warriors in this movement, talking to pastors of what it is to deal with this subject in your church.
What would you say to the pastor who believes this issue is too controversial and doesn't want to offend the congregation from their pulpit?
I would say the importance of not offending people is overrated. I think we need to never go out of our way to offend people. But I think we need to let the gospel and the truth of God offend people or encourage people and comfort people. So we need to simply say what is true, say it in a kind and gracious way. But if it is offensive to people, let it offend them. My question would be, if we don't talk about it in the church, where are people going to learn this?
Right.
I mean, are they going to get it from the evening news? No. Are they going to get it from the newspaper, from general magazines?
No.
They're not going to. If that isn't heard from the pulpit, if it isn't heard in the local church, it just won't be heard. So yeah, I think it is the responsibility of church leaders to draw people's attention to this.
The latest statistics show 11 abortions are being funded by Oregon taxpayers every day.
Some people could say, well, 11 abortions a day, that's not very many. It sounds more when it's over 4,000 for a year. But the fact is, every single one of these children's lives is precious. If 11 children were killed in Portland or Salem or Eugene or any part of Oregon today, it would be the top of the news, the absolute top of the news. It's 11 every day, not simply 11 who are dying. Their deaths are being subsidized, paid for by our tax dollars, including mine, yours, and every Christian in the state of Oregon who pays taxes. We are funding the killing of children.
Powerful. Randy Alcorn. Coming up next, we're going to have a special guest. Melissa Ohden is going to be with us. She's actually an abortion survivor. We'll have her story next here on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back, and this is a very special edition of Focus Today, as today we are focusing on a very important issue here in the state of Oregon. Did you know that your tax dollars, if you're a citizen of Oregon, pays for 11 abortions a day? So we're gathering signatures all over the state, and in particular today here in the Medford area at the Mellelo Coffee House right behind Costco. We're asking you to swing on by and sign the petition to stop your tax dollars for paying for 11 abortions a day. If we can get enough signatures to get this on the ballot by November. And I want to say thank you to the many of you throughout the day who've been swinging by Mellelo's and signing the petition. We have a lot of things to give away out there and all of that. You don't have to buy anything, do anything, just swing on by there and sign the petition. And we have some certificates for you, drawings and things like that. But that's what today is all about. I am really delighted to have a very special guest with us. Melissa Ohden's with us today. She's an abortion survivor, and she's the founder and the director for Olivia's Sake. And she's got an incredible story, a miraculous story of her own birth, and explains how the impact of abortion is on families and the community. So, Melissa, hi. Nice to have you with us today.
Good morning.
Nice to have you with us. Well, your story is absolutely fascinating, and I don't want to even add to it. Tell us about your miraculous birth.
It is. You know, I am the first person to admit I've been blessed with a very intense life. I am one of the few people who can say that I survived my own mother's abortion. I survived a saline infusion abortion, which was a very common procedure back then in the 1970s. I survived back in 1977. So if people do the math, yes, I'm 36, almost 37 years old. Mm-hmm. But that type of procedure was meant to scald me to death. And folks can look it up on the internet and read about how that toxic salt solution was delivered into the amniotic fluid surrounding me in the womb. The child in the womb soaked in that toxic salt solution, and then their life was supposed to be effectively snuffed out, and then premature labor induced, with then that deceased child being delivered. You know, in my case, the doctors can't pinpoint why I survived, what possibly could have went wrong. You know, I like to think something went right.
Yeah.
Me. But God obviously had a plan, because I soaked in that toxic salt solution for 5 days, which is longer than what I should have. And on the 5th day of that abortion procedure, I was delivered at the hospital. And that's when they realized that the abortion had not succeeded in ending my life.
Whoa, let me catch my breath here. When did you learn that you survived an abortion?
I was actually 14 when I found out that I had survived the abortion. I grew up knowing I was adopted. That was a normal part of my adoptive family. And I never thought for a second that abortion had touched my life. I never thought for a second that my birth parents would have even considered having an abortion, nonetheless actually following through with it. But, you know, what I know now, and it's been a long journey, but what I know now is that my birth mother was not given any other choice than to have that abortion. And it was completed thinking she was less than 5 months, but in reality, I was probably about 31 weeks gestational age when I survived. But it was her own family, unfortunately, that forced her to have it. And even my own grandmother, it was her mother, my maternal grandmother, who assisted in the abortion as a nurse and is the person who delivered me, and unfortunately also demanded that I be left to die. That's a lot to digest.
Yeah, I'm processing this. Did you have any side effects?
You know, when I first survived, the doctors had indicated they didn't think I was going to continue to live for very long. I weighed a little less than 3 pounds. I suffered from severe respiratory and liver problems. I suffered from seizures for an extended period of time, you know, required multiple blood transfusions. And the doctors had just said that if I continued to live for very long, I was going to suffer from multiple disabilities, from being blind and deaf to having emotional and mental disabilities throughout my life. But I received a clean bill of health by the time I was 5 years old.
Well, you are a beautiful young woman.
Thank you for calling me both beautiful and young.
Well, I am your senior. Have you ever spoken to your biological mother?
Oh, the short version of this, God's blessed me with some amazingly long stories and journeys in my life, but I started looking for my birth family when I was 19, and it took me 10 years to find them. When I found my biological father, I found out we were living in the very same city.
Whoa.
Which was astounding. I didn't grow up in that city. I had moved there to finish my master's degree, and there he was. Sadly, he never responded to a letter that I sent him, but ultimately why he didn't respond is because he passed away about 6 months after I sent it. But in terms of my birth mother, I couldn't find her initially and reached out to her family, that same grandmother who played such a huge part in the abortion. I contacted them and asked them to reach out to my birth mother on my behalf. And, they were very gracious and actually responded to my letter, admitted to the abortion taking place, but unfortunately told me about 7 years ago when I sent the letter that they wouldn't be passing along my message to my birth mother because they didn't have any contact. They were estranged. And, it makes sense that their relationship has been forever changed if she was forced to have it.
Does your grandmother know what you're doing now?
My grandmother is now deceased, but I believe that she did know before she passed away. Because I had some contact with them right before I came forward publicly in 2007, which is, that was important to me. I wanted them to hear from me first. But, I just in the last year have been connected with other members of my birth mother's family, including my birth mother. We haven't met yet, but we, pass along emails, we pass along written correspondence, and, it's been life-changing for me to see. I was not a victim in this, because God redeemed it in a huge way for me. But what I know is that my birth mother was incredibly victimized. Not only was that abortion forced on her, but what I know now is that she did not know that I survived.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Another bombshell, right? Just when you think I might be done.
Wow. Wow, this is so impacting. When did you know that God saved you?
Oh my gosh, immediately. I mean, I was 14 years old. I sit my mother down, my adopted mother, to have her explain to me why my older sister, who's also adopted, was suddenly talking about being more wanted than I was. And that's when my mom had to tell me about surviving the abortion. And, in that moment of time, I just knew. I knew nobody but God saved me, and that he obviously had a huge plan for my life. But, I will be the first person to admit I spent years of my life feeling so ashamed and embarrassed by what happened to me and what the world says about abortion and lives like mine. So, God really, really allowed me to heal, and he's given me the grace and the strength to come forward because I couldn't do this without him.
Have you connected with other abortion survivors?
You know what? I do. I do a lot of work with survivors. Folks can visit theabortionsurvivors.com, and on that page, they can read stories of other survivors, statistics, watch videos. I've been connected with now 180 other survivors, most coming from the United States, mainly because of the large majority of abortions that take place here. But, I always tell people, if you passed most of us on the street, you would never guess in a million years that we've survived what we did.
Your message to a woman who's considering abortion, and no matter what the cause of pregnancy is, whether it was incest or rape or whatever, infidelity, what's your message?
My message is, I'm not in your shoes to know what you're going through, but what I can tell you is that I've never seen abortion be the answer to anybody's problems. Whatever you are going through, that is the problem. The child is not the problem. The pregnancy is not the problem. And there are people who are always going to be here to support you, even if you feel like you're alone or people are forcing you to make that decision. There are resources and supports out there to assist you. And abortion has lifelong consequences, not only for that child, but also for you and other people in your life.
Melissa, in the state of Oregon, we have 0 restrictions on abortion. Today, we're trying to get enough signatures on a petition between now and the end of June to put on the ballot a measure to stop our taxpayers, our taxes paying for abortion. We are paying right now, whether we like it or not, through court order, we're paying to kill 11 babies a day. What can you say to Oregonians today?
It's easy to think that somehow it doesn't involve you, that it doesn't touch your life, but in reality, I can honestly say that nobody's life is untouched by abortion. And for somebody like me, I'm not only a survivor, but I'm somebody's wife and I'm somebody's child. I'm somebody's mother. I am 29 weeks pregnant right now with our second child. And, I wish that people would stop for just a second and think about not only how abortion affects all of us, but what it's like for somebody like me and my family to live every single day knowing that tax dollars go to funding something that was meant to end my life. It changes things when you realize that.
You are an inspiration, and you're beautiful. Again, it's theabortionsurvivors.com is the website. And Melissa, you have touched us deeply. Thank you for your time. And let's stay in touch, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, God bless you. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Welcome back. Very, very special day today on Focus Today. This has been a special edition. And what we're doing today is asking you to be involved in an issue that just cannot go ignored. In the state of Oregon, our tax dollars are paying for 11 abortions a day. It has to stop. And I don't know if you weren't moved by my last guest, something is desperately wrong. When you hear Melissa Ohden's story of surviving an abortion and the circumstances leading up to her mother trying to kill her in the womb, it just doesn't get any more clear than that. And here we are as Oregonians allowing our tax dollars through a court order to kill 11 babies a day. How can we possibly stand before God and say we knew all about this issue, but we did nothing about it? I don't think whatever the excuse is will stand very long. So today, if you live in and around Southern Oregon, we're asking you to go out of your way to go to the Mellelo Coffee House. It's a beautiful place right behind Costco. And Bryan Platt and his volunteers from Jackson County Right to Life are there all day long, asking you to sign the petition to get on the ballot a measure to stop our taxpayers for paying for those abortions. While you're there, you're going to be given a certificate for $1 off on a coffee. Whether you use it today or not, that's not important. Your name will go in the hat for some great drawings tomorrow. We'll be giving away certificates for a coffee a day for a month. We have taken a bunch of books out there from the Dove Library that's been on our shelves, and first come, first serve. You can have anything that's there. Just come and get them. But the most important, you don't have to buy anything to do this. All of those things are just our way of saying thank you for coming on by. But what today is all about is signing the petition. So let's go back out there now. Bryan, pretty busy, huh?
Hi, Perry. It sure is. And we just had a session of prayer. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Melissa's testimony, it's a good day.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still trying to keep my composure after hearing that story. Bryan, people who have signed the petition can still come by and get one and take it and get other signatures?
That's right, Perry, and that really is the way we're going to get this accomplished. We're calling this a team effort. If people can come in and sign, that's a blessing. But Perry, if they'll take a sheet with them, which represents the potential for 10 more signatures, we can get this thing done. And the reason we can get this done is this isn't just happening here. This has been going on all over the state of Oregon for months. These sheets have been going out. They're sitting in baskets. They're sitting in out baskets. They're sitting on desks with piles of paper on top of them. It's time to dust those off, get them out, whether there's one signature or 10 on that sheet. It's time to get that done and get those mailed in. There's an address on the back that they can be mailed to. And we have the framework, the groundwork has been laid to make this thing happen. We have 31 days.
Okay. Now, the goal is to get a little over 116,000 signatures. You'd like a lot more than that just to be safe. And when that's accomplished, then the ballot measure will be on the November ballot. Did I see where it's going to be ballot measure 6? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the number that the Secretary of State's office has assigned to it. That's correct.
Okay, now, just for some other clarification, this just stops taxpayer-funded abortions, not all abortions.
That's right. There's about, just in round numbers, there are about 10,000 abortions in Oregon every year. Just roughly 4,000 of those are funded by taxpayer money through the Oregon Health Plan. These are elective abortions. These are not necessarily abortions that are medically necessary to save the life of a woman. This doesn't eliminate the possibility of these ladies getting abortions. They can seek other ways of funding or financing their abortions, but this stops the use of yours and mine's income tax that we pay to the state of Oregon from being used to fund them. Over the last 10 years, $16 million have come into the state of Oregon that they have used to fund the abortions of 38,000 unborn children, 38,000 unborn children just in the state of Oregon with our tax money in the last 10 years.
And I think people need to understand that Oregon is one of 13 states where taxpayers are court-ordered to fund abortions without limits or restrictions. That's up through the 9th month.
It's through the 9th month, and that really brings me to the thing that I think is the operative issue here is how the state of Oregon somehow, in spite of all our efforts, in spite of Oregon Right to Life being a very vital and dynamic means of getting the pro-life message out to the citizens of Oregon, Oregon stands alone at the bottom of the heap in terms of state regulations of abortions. We have none. And there are states that have as many as 23 state-mandated restrictions on abortions, which are all legal under the Roe v. Wade Doe Bolton decisions back in 1973, because the Supreme Court gave states the opportunity to regulate abortions later in the term of the pregnancy. Things like ultrasounds, doctor clinic requirements, which that's actually been a really interesting one, because last summer the state of California made national news when they legislated that RNs can perform first trimester abortions. Well, that was no big deal in Oregon because they've been able to do that in Oregon all along.
Oh, just amazing. Okay, let me just say again, if you're outside the area, you can go to Oregon 2014, that's 2014.org, and you can sign the petition online. We've had Randy Alcorn just earlier really admonish pastors to allow for signatures. I would hope, I don't know how to say it anymore, Bryan. I would hope that pastors would take a Sunday between now and the end of June, maybe Father's Day, that's what's coming up next, and use Father's Day as a life day and speak on life in your church and ask your congregation to step from the sanctuary to the foyer and sign the petition.
Perry, if our team can help in any fashion, we don't desire to burden the church leadership and the pastors. We know that they have a ton of things on their plates, but we have a team of people that are willing to give up their time in their church service on any given Sunday and come out and help to collect these signatures at these churches. So there's no lack of manpower available should a pastor decide to do this, and we still have 4 or 5 Sundays yet remaining where this can be done, yeah.
All right. Again, today, throughout the afternoon and all day up till 6 o'clock this evening, Bryan and his team and a lot of us from the Dove are there. I'll be broadcasting live from there a little bit later on this afternoon. At the Mellelo Coffee House, it's a beautiful location right behind Costco. You don't even have to get out of your car to sign the petition. You're going to be given a certificate for $1 off for a coffee. You don't have to buy it today. You don't have to buy it at all, but you'll be given to that. Your name's going to go in the hat for a drawing for a coffee a day for a month, and we'll be drawing those names out tomorrow on the show. And we also have taken over there several cases of books that we have collected through the years, or through the weeks and the months here at the Dove. And it's first come, first serve. If you're looking for books to read and different subjects and topics, take a look at the books. They're yours for the taking, so first come, first serve. Well, Bryan, I only got a couple minutes left. Your last thoughts on today or where you are at the moment and throughout the afternoon.
Perry, we got to start with prayer. We're not going to get this done unless the Holy Spirit is moving in people's hearts to take the time to set aside time from their busy schedules to come out here or in any one of a number of places around the state of Oregon, or of course go online to Oregon2014.org. Perry, I just pray that people be responsive to this, that the Spirit will just move in their hearts. We need to get this done. I need a clear conscience. I struggle with the fact that I'm paying tax. My tax money is being used to murder babies that have absolutely innocence. I mean, Proverbs 31:8 says, "Be a voice for those who can't speak for themselves." If this isn't a way of demonstrating that in action, in our society, in a legal way, I don't know what is. So I just pray that people would be responsive.
And one last time, I want to say to Sal Mellelo, thank you. And Bryan, maybe you'd like to say on behalf of your chapter as well, because he's really done a bold thing by opening up his business for this today.
Perry, he has. As a business owner, I truly understand the position he has put himself in. But, you know, we sat down with him. God bless his willingness to listen to the leading of the Spirit. And he said, I have to do this.
Okay. Thank you, friend. We'll be checking in with you throughout the day. And again, this is all happening as we speak there at the Mellelo's Coffee House. That's right behind Costco. And Bryan and his crew's there. We have folks from the Dove there all afternoon. And you're welcome to come by anytime. You'll be given a certificate for $1 off for a coffee of your choice. Your name's going to go in the hat for a drawing for a coffee a day for a month. We'll be giving 3 of those certificates away tomorrow on the morning show. And we here at the Dove have taken a bunch of books out there and that we have collected through the weeks and the months. And they're first come, first served. You can have them. Just come on by and take a look. You're welcome to take anything that's there. And if you've never received the Dove devotional, the word for you today, we have those as well. Nothing is, you don't have to buy a thing. There's nothing there. This is all about signing this petition. And let me ask you this. Have you signed the petition? And if you haven't, please go out of your way to go to Mellelo's behind Costco throughout the day and sign the petition. If you see Sal there, thank him. Thank Bryan and his team for their incredible energy and warrior spirit to stay at this and be out there throughout the day and sign that petition. If you're living and watching and listening outside the area, you can go to Oregon2014.org and you can sign the petition online. And if you've already signed the petition, you're still welcome to go out, pick up a certificate, put your name in the hat, and pick up other certificates and take them to your family and your church to sign. And pastors, pray about a Life Sunday between now and the end of June. All right? We'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I work at the Dove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. and you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, theDove.us.